Hello, welcome to Tricia's Cards and Crafts, and the next in my series of Simple to Stepped Up on Sundays. These are the two cards that I've made today. This is the one that I'll be showing you how I made, and I haven't decorated the inside. I did decorate the envelope because I would use it as a note card, so I'll be doing most of the writing inside. Okay, the stamp set I've used today, I have used already, which is a touch of ink, but I'm going to just show a different way of using it today. Okay, and this is the stepped up version that I've made. I have done a little bit of stamping inside and on the envelope as well. Okay, so I'll explain how I've made this afterwards. But this is the card that we're going to make this morning, or today. So let's get on with this. So I've got the usual note card and envelope that I use. Just fold this, and I'm going to use it today as it is folded. I'm going to get a piece of paper because I will be stamping off. Okay, so for the stamping, first of all, I'm going to use the images. I'll be using this on the, actually I think I used that on the envelope. They are a little bit bigger than the images on the front, as you can see, they're bigger, and I'll be using the hummingbird, it may be a hummingbird, and the flower. Yeah, I think I only used that. Yes, so we just used those two images for today, and I've used the thinking of you, or thank you so much, sorry, thank you so much sentiment from here. We've got some nice sentiments here as well. Right, so I'm using the Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, and put this to the page there. I did go a bit further on with the other one, but I found really that the hummingbird was a bit too far down and across the page then, so I needed a bit more room, so I've just moved it across a little bit more for this one. I don't want to get any ink on here, so I'm going to make it look as if it's going up towards, oops, I'll have to do it here now. There we go, that'll be alright. Okay, so just keep that down so that it's nicely inked. I'll show you what I'll do now just to finish that off at the bottom. And the final thing, I'll just stamp the thank you so much. I'll put that there. There we are. So there's the sentiment. I'll just do the inside for this one. So I don't need to stamp it all up. Just a little bit of it, really. I'm going to stamp that off. Just put it on there like that. There we are. And I'll do the envelope the same way. Just, whoop. That'll be clever. Won't get much ink out of the lid, will I? There we go. So just do the top corner. Stamp ink pad back on. I knew I'd do that. And just stamp this coming in on the top corner of the envelope. Okay. Right, I'll just put that to one side for now. And I can get rid of this now. Don't need that. Right, so what I'm using today are the watercolour pencils that you can get from Stampin' Up. These are the colours that you can get in this set. There is a white there, you can't see it very well, but there is a white pencil as well. There are 2 sets of pencils. This is the second set. This is the watercolour pencil assortment 2, and those are the colours of the pencils in this set. Now for the main card, I've tried to just use the one set. Could have used these, but I've decided to use these. On this card, I have used some different colours as well as those, but being as we want to try and make it as simple as possible, and we'll just stick to the one item. So if you don't need to buy the 2 sets, or you don't want to buy 2 sets, you could just buy one set of the pencils. Okay, and then you can get the same, I'll show you the same sort of effects that you'll get. So these are the colours that I've chosen out of that stamp set. So I've got the Old Olive for the, I've used Old Olive, Rich Raspberry, Bermuda Bay, Calypso Coral, and Pacific Point and Pumpkin Pie. So those are the colours that I've used, and I'll just show you how I coloured them in. Now, rather than just going in like this, it's easier if you rub on the side of the pencil so that you don't get too much of a line, a start line, because if you do that, I'll show you on here. If you do that, it's easier. It's not so easy when you use a brush with, you don't need a lot of water. You sometimes can tend to get a line rather than, I mean, it didn't work that time, but if you go in like that, it's not so easy to get rid of the line. You can just about see that there's still a line there. So that's why try and use it from the side. Okay, just use a little bit, so sort of on the side of the pencil rather than, and I just wanted really some colour around the edges of the petals. Okay, and a little bit more on the inside. I might just go on with this Rich Raspberry just in the centre to give it a bit more depth. Okay, now for the wings, I've done the wings using the Rich Raspberry. And then I've done where the eye is, just a little bit there with the pumpkin pie, and then I've used a little bit of the Old Olive on the outside edge and a little bit in the middle of the tail, and then I've used a bit of the Pacific Point, and then gone and filled in with the Bermuda Bay. Don't worry about the state of the colouring, especially not at the moment. There we go. Because this will change when we use the ink. So I'm using a watercolour brush. You can buy the watercolour brushes from Stampin Up. They do have them. But you can use an ordinary paintbrush if you've got one, and just try and make sure it's not too damp. If you want to, you can keep a piece of tissue handy so that you can dry off the brush, because you don't want it too wet, because you don't want to waterlog your paper, your card. It's because a lot of them can get a bit warped if you use too much water on them. So I'm just only touching the pencil where the pencil is rather than anywhere else on it, because I don't want the paper to get, or the card to get any wetter than it has to. There we go. It just gives a nice watercolour effect. There we go. Now, when you're doing the colouring on the bird, try, or any sort of colouring with pencils or watercolour pencils, you don't want to go from one colour to another, but unless they're sort of close together, unless you clean your brush first, whichever, whether you're using a water brush or with this part, it's not going to be so bad because I want all the colours to merge. But if you don't want to muddy the colours that you're using, say on the wing, I wouldn't have done the blue and then gone on to there, because I would have got, well, I would have got a purple, because they would have mixed together. But this one, I'm trying to get the colours to be merged together anyway, because I don't want them all one colour. I want them all to be mixed together to give a nice sort of bluey greeny mix. So there wasn't so much of a problem with the head and the body. If you think you want a bit more of a particular colour, you could take it straight from the brush and you can add it that way as well. I will just try and get a bit of a purpley hint here. There we go. But obviously I don't want to use too much water on here because I don't want it to pit the paper, make it pale. There we go. I think that should be enough. We don't want to do too much. Now for the inside of the card and the envelope, I haven't used the watercolour pencils, but you could do if you wanted to, or you could just leave it plain. I have used the Stampin' Up markers, and all I want is just to do some pink. So I've used the Blushing Bride. I could have used the Calypso Coral again, but I just felt I only wanted it to be pale, so I would have wanted to try and use a paler colour for this. I only just want a hint of the colour apart from the inside there. So that's all I did with that. And on the envelope, the same thing again, just a little bit around the edges of the petals. Just to give it a hint of colour, very lightly, and a little bit more in the middle. There we go. So that's what I did with that. So those are my simple versions. So that's the first, that's that one. Just put those out of the way. And there's the first one I did. So it's slightly darker than that one. It will dry a little bit more when it's dried out completely. So it won't be perhaps quite as vibrant, but that's what I did for those. With this one, I've used a 6x6 card blank, and I used a piece of the Designer Series paper, which is the Oh So Ombre, which is a Saleabration item, which is what the same thing as this is a Saleabration item as well. So you get 48 sheets of this paper, and one side you get one set that you've got two different colours on each side. There's ombre and there's a small, there's a pattern as well you get on them as well. So you get pink on one side and Bermuda Bay. It's Bermuda Bay and Rococo Rose on one side, on one set of papers, and the other side is the Granny Apple Green and Blackberry Bliss on the other side. So you've got the same in the pattern, or you've got the ombre. Okay, so those are the papers I've used. You get both of these with, if you spend £45 on Stampin' Up products, you can choose whichever item you would like for £45 worth of products. Some of the items are do come to more than that. With for example, if you chose to get this one, you'd have to spend £90 on products, and you could choose this, but you also get some papers that match it. Just see if I can find them. A second. Oops, here they go. So those are the papers that go with that, and they're called Berry Delightful Designer Series paper, and they go with the Berry Blessings. And these also match with the stamp set that are in the new mini catalogue that is out. So if you wanted to buy the mini catalogue, the berry, I think it's strawberry, you can get a punch and stamp set that go together, coordinate, and they would go with those papers as well, so you could use them all together. So for this one I used the ombre paper, and I used the leaf stamp, and I just stamped with the same colour, Granny Apple Green, over the top of the paper around the edge. Then I used Whisper White and I stamped on to that the same as I did with those, but I just added the leaves to them as well, so not just the papers, not just those. And I've used these extra pencils which are from the second set, which is Gorgeous Grape, Flirty Flamingo and Granny Apple Green. That's why this is slightly different in colour too, but I could have got the same effect by using the Pacific Point and the Rich Raspberry to get the purple on the wings. The green is a bit brighter because I've used the Granny Apple Green rather than the old olive on this one. Okay, but that's just because I wanted it to match in with the papers that I was using behind, and I had the two sets so I could use both sets. So that's what I did with this one. I've used some little Noble Peacock rhinestones. These I think are retired. These are older ones that I got last year. It doesn't say what the colours are, but I know it's Pretty Peacock. I think that one is Gorgeous Grape. I'm not sure what the rest of them are. That might be Flirty Flamingo. I'm not sure. And then you've got, I think that's Shaded Spruce. It's quite dark. That might be Lemon Lime Twist, but I think it goes all right with the Granny Apple Green as well. So that's why I use those. So I've used those on there to just finish the card off, add some embellishment. I've done the same thing as I showed you on the inside with the Blush and Bride marker pen, and I did the same thing on the front of the envelope as well. So that's what I've done. I hope you liked the video, and maybe you'd like to try and make your own cards like this. If you do, you can find the products on my website, on my online shop, which is Tricia's Cards and Craft.stampinup.net. If you're from the UK, you can buy from me. If you're from another country, then you can find your own demonstrator in your country, because we're not allowed to sell outside of our own countries. You can buy from me if you're from the EU, but you will find that you might find it easier if you get it from through your own demonstrator in your own country. Support your own country's demonstrators. If you've got any suggestions or comments or questions, you can leave them below, or you can email me at triciascards@yahoo.com, sorry, at yahoo.com. And if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up below, and if you'd like to see more of my videos, you can click on the subscribe button, and if you click on the little bell icon, you'll be notified when I post new cards. Thanks again for joining me today. Hopefully you'll join me again shortly, and see you again soon, hopefully. Bye.